I'm Tassinix, and welcome to Plotting and Scheming for Season 70, 3 versus 3 Grand Arena Championship, Week 3. I am joined by my regular co-hosts, Dagger, TJ, Sasha Aisha, and Fatal. Gentlemen, it was a 2-1 week after another couple of 2-1 weeks. The difference is I had 3 real matches this time. One match is a big feature, finally defeating Herbert for the very first time. Excellent player. And then, for the third time this season, matching up with Sasha Aisha. And for the third time this season, losing to Sasha Aisha. So memorable for a couple of reasons. It was great. How about you, Dagger?
I went 2-1. And I appreciate seeing you looking like you came from Agrabah if it was in Star Wars.
Yeah. This Star Wars Fez, this Stormtrooper Fez is dope. Been enjoying it thoroughly.
And no, I didn't spend my whole weekend watching Disney movies with kids.
Mm-hmm. Like the story. All right. TJ, how about you? How was your week?
It was 1 and 2, man. I got faced with the same inconceivable problem of there's nothing I could do or set that was gonna offset something, and then taking full responsibility for my modding mistake cost me one of the counters I needed to work. So I will take my own ownership for it. But yeah, 1 and 2, nothing was gonna do, and I'm kind of happy to see things retire after this threes.
Very crop.
Well, both combos basically, but yes.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, Sasha Aisha, how was your week? How'd it go?
Good. Multiple real matches. I got a 3-0 weekend. It's the last week of a season. Get more comfortable with off meta counters and set 8 GLs once. I looked at setting 9, but actually it was my discomfort with the Dracron and the Hodocron that kept me from doing it. But I had fun with it. I was able to set funner defenses than I had in the past and enjoyed that. So yeah, good week.
All right, glad to hear that. And last but not least, Fatal, how was your week? How did the plan go?
Yeah, 3-0. It was kind of the week that I've been trying to get going from the start, but yeah, I was able to get as high as like 8 GLs plus Seer Malico Star Killer, which in my mind kind of registers as 9 GL. Just that team just does not die to anything except for Vayner GL normally. So it's more GL than a lot of GLs are these days.
Wait, you're saying you had HELs down and Seer Malicos, or you faced that?
Oh no, I post like my defense was 8 GLs, Seer Malicos, Balin,
wow,
Amidala. Actually, let me pull the map up. I can give you the full list. I was pretty happy with where I landed.
It already sounds pretty tough to handle.
8 GL, Seer Malicos, Balin, Inquisitors, Jamal with Hammered Yodacron was down. Treya, Saul with that whole crit damage Kron. It was pretty much front to back packed, which is how I wanted the whole dang season to start. But yeah, as I'll be talking about later, it feels like I kind of just had to reframe how I looked at everything. And so, yeah, I finally landed where I wanted to be. It did pretty much exactly what I wanted it to do and felt pretty good.
All right. Glad to hear it. All right, well, guys, before we get into the regular agenda, which would normally kick off with meta analysis, we'll go to our traditional now, I guess, the last few weeks, fare of doing the season in review, our thoughts on the season as a whole. Since a lot of the lessons, whatever new lessons we might have learned from this week, if they have anything to do with Datacron Set 22, they will no longer apply when we come back. So, season in review time. Floor is open, guys. Feel free to step in. I'll have stuff to say, but I'll get it in.
07's in the chat for Dracron. Here's hoping that one of the new focus Datacrons makes something defensively viable. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the Dracron is leaving is like a bad thing. I'm saying that I don't know what defense is going to look like without it. Right? Because it was a stalwart. This is one of the things that actually gave you some hope. Us mortals who don't do what Fatal does gave us some hope about somehow giving your opponent a pinch point, whether they want to use JMK versus it or set JMK, then they have to two-shot it, right? Like, it gave us a pivot point that we could actually like use to figure stuff out. That and I'm actually really happy to see the JML Cron or the Hodicron go. Like, fuck that Cron.
I think that's where it's at. Dre and Prey
Same here.
was it can go out, man. That's where I think I'm at. And it's not, I can't blame the Kron because we've all asked for something defensively viable. But I don't think it needs to be pushed into the funnel of one Kron is doing all of the work. Just CG open the doors of the floodgates is basically what it is. Then we're back to that same cycle, right? But I am happy to see this being able to set Dre and Prey and then JMK, and then that's your defense. Now we'll just play the game. It's Dagger called it best, in my opinion, when he said he was tired of the check boxes, and those check boxes, it felt really funneled. Can't blame the season for what we had set up, but I would like to see just a wider variety of defense. Not here's two things, and then now I get to set bullshit, including fucking old OG Qui-Gon Jinn because I'm gonna steal a banner. Shit is trash.
I will say this: I can't have my cake and eat it too. I can't complain about not having defense and then complain about the Dracron. So while I'm not a big fan of box check metas, this season I kind of came to the realization internally that I prefer box check metas to you can't set anything. I would rather have something like this meta that we currently are leaving for 3v3 than the alternative. Now, I will still get annoyed by the box check metas, but I've softened up quite a bit on it because it's easy to complain no matter what happens. And I think this season specifically, I don't have a ton to complain about. Like we had everything felt good. Sure, I lost SOK a couple of times. Sure, my opponents lost SOK a couple of times. And yeah, it's annoying when that becomes deterministic. But I really do think that this was a pretty solid overall season meta-wise. And I'm, to what Fatal said last week, I'm really glad that the JMK specifically we're going to look back on as the early adopters got some value and the late adopters got none.
Fair.
And I think this is a lesson to y'all that when you hear about a team that's good, use it or don't. But if you wait 2 weeks to use it, it's not going to do what you want it to do.
Mm-hmm.
Which is one of the reasons why I never said it, because I didn't adopt it early, and I just missed that boat and just never dove in trying to swim after it.
I'll give in sort of our farewell wishes to that Datacron set, like one little tip of the hat, and that I was maybe a little late in figuring out, but eventually came to the conclusion that my best bet was a deliver 2-shot against the slicker Dracron. And one thing I really ended up respecting about this meta was I was able to accept the 2-shot and then set enough of a robust defense with the options that were presented against good players and still be able to both sort of make up for that drop and get other additional holds. Like, it felt relatively healthy and open to defensive creativity, off meta counters in a way that, I was happier than I would have expected with that deterministic aspect of the Dracron, where earlier matches in the season, I got hard stopped on SOKR and it cost me matches. Tasks that happened with you and I, for you twice with really crappy RNG, and that stuff sucks. But the fact that it could potentially be planned around with a deliberate 2-shot, and Bane, I actually ended up feeling pretty darn good about the overall meta.
Yeah, I mean, I was very loud and open at the start of the season that I was like dooming pretty hard, and honestly, I can say now that a lot of that was just a skill issue, and a part of that was it. I just went in with such heavy assumptions that I never actually sat down and gave it a shot, and I honestly at this point it just feels like I just need to take this as a lesson and to just apply this to what do you call it? Like checkbox metas is like it feels like this year has really kind of taught me that like we're kind of at this period now where like the old play style of like you set heavy defense and then wing it on offense, that's just not going to work. Like it's just that shit is dead. At least in metas like this where you have like enough solid high end teams that like, yeah, dude, you got to do your homework. Like at this point, it feels like if you're going to be a heavy defense player, you have to do the work on offense first. Which I know sounds like, yeah, you just play offense and defense and you just play Galaxy Heroes, man. Just do everything and it'll be fine. But it's like, you know, a season like this starts. Somebody who's posting their teams doesn't really have that many tough questions to answer. That like week one, I imagine will be a lot more comfortable for them than it is for me. So like, if this is something I want to keep doing, you don't get to Doom at this point. You have to just fucking like get in there and roll your sleeves up. Otherwise, like, don't even try because there's no point bitching at this point. It's like, yeah, dude, James Kazara might fuck you up, but also seems like it might be suspect in some ways. Maybe you should look into that instead of being mad on a podcast. I don't know.
That's where I think that's where I think it's like you can't really blame mine is biased on the fact that people are just able to set so much bullshit, but that's biased on a particular thing. I'm not going to downplay the meta, and also I put in a strategy that's nothing I could try to do to play my game that makes it me trying to buck a system that's not going to buck, right? And so somebody who gets to set bullshit gets to move up. That's just the game that we get to play. But I am still pretty happy to see. I would like to see again, just what we talked about it, a good floor for defense where it does get to work and not get to set cheesy bullshit. But again, as also Fatal alluded to, and taking my own ownership for that, takes two to party. I could just do a Fatal thing and set 8 in this, and then just come across that way. So you can only put so much more.
Yeah, I was like, one of the problems I think we're going to run into is what you just described won't be happening unless we get like a really, really strong level 9 or level 6 Datacron set, because we have too many teams. And I think at this point, I really like this meta because I was able to personally find a blend of like reasonable defenses I didn't mind setting, that didn't feel like my opponent was just going to dunk me out for 57 on everything, and also have enough to be able to save for offense and have enough flexibility to where I didn't feel like any team they could set was really going to hinder me. Now, to Fatal's point, there were like 4 or 5 teams this season that I had a go-to counter for because you kind of need one. You had SOK, you needed to know what you were doing versus Rey if you saw it, versus Ahsoka if you saw it, and versus JMK, Ezra if you saw it, and versus Lord Vader if you saw it. Right? Those are the 5 teams where going into attack, if you didn't, like, I didn't really scout a ton this month, so I needed to have a plan. And I think that just having that plan, like, oh, my opponent didn't set Lord Vader. Well, that means Leia can go just, dumpster fuck this random team or the next best team on the board. And I think this season specifically rewarded me a ton for feeling dialed into the meta and having a plan. Now, my plan was just being proactive, right? It was saving the answers I needed for offense and setting a strong enough floor of a defense to where I felt like it would strip some banners. So I personally, man, it really, I don't know. This is probably one of them. I said this a few seasons ago about 3v3. I'm going to miss this 3v3 season. I had a lot of fun this season, and it felt good. Like 3v3 felt good. It felt like my decisions mattered. It felt like my planning mattered. I don't know how you guys felt about that, but I felt like I had agency over this season, and that's what I really want out of GAC. Is I want to feel like I want to feel like, I don't know, not big brain, but I want to feel good, like I have some say in the outcome, not the. Anyways.
Yeah, so I thought it was really healthy. I'll just say this briefly. I mean, I at all times, I mean, aside from just all of the dead rounds against Herodians, really, all the actual matches I had, the way that the meta played out this month, I thought it was in a good spot.
The thing that I think I'm coming to is regarding there's too many teams. I mean, this was my approach at 5v5, and I wasn't sure if it'd be possible in 3v3 yet. And I don't know if it'll be possible after this month or not. But it's really a question of, well, there's too many teams. You need to. I mean, it's kind of what was called as the super team meta in 5v5. I don't know if that really applies to 3v3. I just don't know if super team is possible for 3-man teams. But basically, it's just post enough high stuff, like enough top tier stuff, that your opponent's holding 40 teams, but like maybe the majority of them don't have a usable matchup. Like, the best way that I could try to pitch future metas to anyone who might be interested is, at this point, I feel pretty confident saying that I think defense-heavy playstyle is, like, bar none the hardest playstyle in the game right now. And a lot of that is coming from how much shit we have to carve out for ourselves. And, like, I don't even think heavy defense in this scenario is necessarily weak. It's just going to be fucking tough. And, like, that's gonna... There are going to be matches that we just need to throw. Like, hey, it's a new Datacron set. We just need to sacrifice a match or two to, like, get the data, to, like, try some shit, or, like, look for ways to high efficiency some squads. Like, so, I'm not going to pretend the idea of science rounds are new at all, but historically, I never really felt like it was worth it. Like, usually playing to what was within reach, but, like, no, man, week 1, I legitimately might just deliberately sack around just to be like, okay, week 2's coming. I need to know if this works. I need to know what I need to remod if it doesn't work. Like, but within that, we're so rare as a playstyle at this point that I think that part of our power just comes from people not having any practice with it. That if we're talking making a defense that asks enough interesting questions, I think it is possible, but you either need to do some theory crafting yourself, or you need to keep an ear to the ground or on Insight or whatever have you to, you know, see what's going on with Bo-Katan against Lord Vader and try to figure that shit out, or see how people are dealing with JM Kez or figure that shit out, or, you know, it's...
Fans of this show will be well armed for such scenarios.
Yeah.
Okay, well...
So
go ahead.
One last thing to just mention, and I'll probably mention it again in the takeaways, but man, anybody who didn't set that Saw Rolocron team, y'all did yourself a disservice. That team was so good. It had so few counters. It was just it was easily the MVP of my season. It was the MVP of several other people I've talked to. I mentioned it in our first week's podcast, and I didn't mention it week 2. Just because I feel like if you missed the boat, I wasn't trying to remind you. So I'm looking that team was, man. I'm looking forward to setting that team again next season. That was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
To me, it just really came down to, I didn't doubt that it was decent, although I still am perpetually worried that, like, Freya or what she does. But for me, it was like, well, I need Bo-Katan for Lord Vader.
Right.
That's fair. Yeah. As people like me who just saved their Leia for Lord Vader, didn't really need it there. So yeah, I definitely understand that.
So were your opponents, like, let's run through that real quick. So usually I'm using Leia for Ahsoka. What were you using for Ahsoka when you would be seeing it?
Great Mothers beat almost every variant. Great Mothers beats every variant to varying degrees of success. Crit avoidance against Ezra, even with the preload, works. The only one that it really doesn't do well against is the preload plus Ezra plus Hera. But if it's preload plus Ezra plus anyone but Hera, like you can do it pretty easily. You just take the Sortie Cron for the crit avoidance, and then you don't get crit, and then you just win.
Now, offensively, I was using Knight's Great Mothers to, take out Jabba, something like Jabba for 57. So when you were seeing Jabba, what were you doing?
1,000 with the 1,000 Cron.
1,000, just risking it, rolling the bones. That's fair.
So the times I actually tried to win it in one shot, I was 1 for 2. Otherwise, I did it twice where I just full autoed it, got it down to lone Jabba, then full autoed Enoch plus the bros.
Are you running into the Plague auto heal on Jabba?
Yeah, you just use Asajj. I was able to beat that.
Yeah, you just have the Asajj Omicron. I think I said this last week, but like you don't even necessarily have to get the healing immunity. Just let Asajj stack up damage, and you can either win via healing immunity or via damage stack. Like there's a couple outs there.
Yeah. I mean, like,
we did discuss that last week a bit.
My opponent's almost all 2-shot my Jabba, so it just let me not put the effort in.
Sure.
Right? So it's like I can just match you. And that's what I'm saying. I like this meta because I feel like there was enough push-pull to where stuff made it available. But yeah, like, and I get what you're saying about the Rolocron. Like, and that's what I was talking about, the plan I had going in. And that's why I said I felt rewarded for the plan I had. Because my plan didn't include the Rolocron, which meant I could allocate it to defense.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate you running through that gamut about what you would use for what, because I would have loved to have done that, but I was like Fatal in relying on it for Lord Vader and having Leia flexible for God only knows what elsewhere.
And then I used Ray versus JMK, and my only loss there was to a no button bug, and I timed out. But yeah, the Ray one just feels really clean.
Very much.
And I heard a bunch of people using Balin again. Balin apparently is doing okay.
Didn't I hear about Balin with the Wampacron only, though, being the reliable way?
Possibly. I would have to follow up on. I would have to double check my DMs. But I think damage output is deterministic. Wampacron being the highest version of that, or the best version of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think other people were able to do it with 40% offense and 100 crit damage kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll say. I mean, I think in one of the earlier rounds of the season had set Saw with the Rolocron, and I definitely liked it. But back to Fatal's earlier point, it was it was both being able to use BKM as a reliable counter to LV, but then also coming to the understanding that Leia had some viability on D. You know, she was still going to be vulnerable to Inquisitors, but she was not vulnerable to Wampa if you put a high defense cron. Once that data was clear, because that I wanted to be able to liberate. Like again, the goal was let's get to 9 GLs if I can do it, and still be confident all clear. When I went 8 GLs, it was definitely with the idea that I don't want Wampa to take out or be able to sort of feast on a multiple of options of GLs, and Leia actually had some viability.
Jabba could also attack Wampa for same thing, basically, just help defense.
Yeah.
Another thing too is just to kind of if we're mentioning teams that I'll mention a few more teams I was unimpressed by on defense. Tuskens, Tarkin, and Inquisitors all feel relatively dead. Like they're drawing dead. It feels like they are all just bad.
Tuskens kind of died like a few months ago once everyone figured out the JKR thing, but honestly, especially now with like Mace. Tusken, the Tusken era has kind of just ended.
Yeah.
Plus, they're not terrible on offense either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just not clean banners wise, but yeah.
Yeah, right. I just wanted to give those 3 honorable mentions of teams that I feel like, and I said some of them, so I'm not going to say like I'm better than anybody. But yeah, they every time I saw them, I just felt like, oh man, I have a really cheap answer to this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I pulled Tarkin kind of with the idea that I was going to find some offensive use for it, and I think once or twice at least I got kind of betrayed by there's a little bit of .gg data, not a ton, so I had to reduce like the minimum relic to like 7, and whatever it was I tried it on did not work against the totally jacked up all R9, the TAS or Arsenal or whoever I was going against set. So Tarkin was a bit of a lost soul for me.
Yeah.
I will throw into the mix. Bad Batch had a very, very. If I'm trading this like a fantasy season, Bad Batch 2, week 3, put up like a 30 bomb for me. Like, dude, okay. They killed Gungans and they killed Amidala with support cron.
Really? Nice.
Yes. And if you're an efficiency player, this is maybe not the news you want to hear. But it played the exact same in all cases, although, to be honest, this might not be required. But it was basically Wrecker dies, And then the 2 stealth people are basically just unkillable crosshair, solo reverse sweep everything. Now, full disclosure, I have a R9 tank modded Omega, and I have a R9 triple health primary modded crosshair that sure as shit does not hurt in that premise, but it did kind of feel like some unrealized power finally being realized, and like honestly, I might just need to try to remod a record to like lean into that playstyle more, because like, you know, this is a man who's dealing with a stacking crit damage Padawan Obi-Wan, and he had 0 added health. Like he had 130 extra protection, and he used none of it. That man just sat down to bow twice in 5 seconds. But yeah, man, Bad Batch 2, I continue to maintain, has like an extremely good tool set, and this week was an excellent showcase of like, yeah, the tools are there. You just need to like understand where to put them, and like once you do, they kind of just can't lose. Like it was kind of insane.
The team reminds me a lot of Night Sisters like 5 years ago, where bad people complained that they weren't good enough, and the good players were like, man, you can't set something I can't, Night Sister. And that's kind of how Bad Batch feels for me in 5s. I won't claim to be anywhere near close to using them in 3s like you are. But in 5s, I feel like they just beat almost everything that's not a GL. And they might even beat some GLs for all the fuck I know. But yeah, they just mechanically are so strong. With all those bonus turns and shit, like, oh my god.
Yeah, dude, like playing them without, like, I honestly, I've done so many fights against GLs that I kind of just fucking forgot the Omicrons existed. And so going into like the Amidala fight is like, wait, why am I just immortal and I'm taking so many turns, and like what is happening?
Mm-hmm.
Like, all right, I guess I just won this, huh?
Yeah, so I would be interested in. I might pick your brain about that during this off. Well, not this off week, but the next off week going into the next 3s about how you mod them. But yeah, I will be. I want to try to use that team more effectively, because they went unused for me a lot, and I know that they have a good ceiling. You know what I mean? So
It was the same for me too until this week. I wasn't doing anything with them in 3s, but part of it was kind of like I said before, right? I just hadn't really given them a shot, and I just needed to like risk the -20 and be like, all right, fuckers, I'm just throwing you in this matchup and seeing what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Makes sense. All right. Let's go ahead and dig into meta-analysis, guys. So I don't know what new things might have popped up for you this week, but just a brief sweep over what I did. Yes, against Balin Shin Marok in the first round of the week, I did JML Hoda Shock, thinking I could pull that off like I used to. I gotta say, I didn't have the very best protection cron, but it didn't matter because we got dodged unusually. And I know there's the evasion thing. I'm saying I don't think it felt like 20%. It didn't proc like it was 20%. I'll tell you that. And it took us too much time to get after Shin, so it became grim. Take away from that, and I checked, most other players in the top 50, anything like that, are going to commit Jedi Cal and JKR to that counter to make sure that you're smooth. So probably in the meta of the future, I'd prefer to use something like Gungans. I mean, we'll see what the world looks like come next 3 versus 3. But Gungans is just a stomp on Balin and any number of other things, at least this season. That is abusing the Tarpals Cron, which we will not have. But I still believe. There's that one.
One of the teams that I was reminded of, not by anyone, but just using it with all the Jedi and all the resistance on like the Crons right now. Man, I forgot that the list of teams Malgus doesn't kill is shorter than the list of the teams it does kill.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So getting to and this is with no DR. To be clear, this is with no DR. Just getting to smack most teams just in the jaw, like knowing that I don't have to plan. Like, oh, how do I beat this team? Oh, is there a Jedi on the team? Oh, is there any resistance cron on the team? Oh, they're preloaded. Yeah, Malgus doesn't give any fucks about you being preloaded. Yeah, just it was a super smooth Usually not a 57. It was a 54 to 55 usually. I won't pretend that it was like the cleanest win.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that just remember that there are teams that are really good that have a lot of Omis that you might not be using.
Sure. Let's see. Another good one this week. So, against an opponent like Herbert, that is generally saving enough that even if you were deciding to go fairly heavy on defense, he's actually prepared for you. So, TJ talked me into holding Ahsoka Tano for offense for the first time, knowing that no matter which way I was going to set it, Herbert was going to have something to 57 it. And I was able to use it for 57 to trivialize his DRZ, right? You could deal with that any number of other ways, but not having to do something like Gungans there allowed me to use Gungans somewhere more pressing. Yeah,
Shame on you for not getting a 58 or 59.
Oh,
Yeah,
I was trying to
this
talk him
was,
into the 59.
Yeah, this was after he'd already dropped twice on the front wall, and we knew that it just didn't need to risk a thing. Didn't need to risk a thing,
Fair.
so we didn't.
No, that's reasonable. That's reasonable.
Yeah. And then looking here in round 3 against Sasha Aisha. So I'm calling Hex, cheats, sorcery, corruption, something. Something has been done, and something must be done. Because Sasha convinced his Dre of the last 2 seasons of 3 vs 3 with this Dre Kron active. His Dre alone, twice this season, decided to focus all of her basics, all 3 times she used a series of basics, she did it on Cat. Like, I actually can't make that up. Wow, I'm actually getting a call. All right, that was just a spam call. We're back. So, yeah, Sasha has effectively ruined my life with the whatever coaching, whatever doping that he gave to his Dre. Completely shut down my JMK twice, and the only 2 times for the lifetime of that datacron. So, hats off to you, Sasha, and also may you burn perpetually for your crimes.
Look, I get it. And
I just think
for those
Sasha
of you that are watching, just to explain quickly, all I did, and it's very simple, anybody can do it, is I went to the character screen. I opened up D-Ray, spun it around once, then stared at her in the eyes and asked her to assess your worthiness and whether you should be allowed to pass. Just to look deep into your soul test. And so that's, I'm sure, what she did. And what you saw was her conclusion. So
Okay.
that's it.
All right.
Also, Sasha just had better stats on his Dracron.
Yeah, that's right. That was the secret the whole time.
That's right.
Very nice.
That's right.
By the way, guys, kind of on topic, a little off topic, I guess, but what are you going to be doing with your Dre mods now going back? Now that this Crown's... well, I guess I don't have to ask you so soon, because we do have it for the next 5 vs 5, but...
Well,
I don't know.
Speculating for the next 3v3, I think I'm going to leave her in these mods. And here's why. There's a few reasons, but I'll kind of run them down. Number 1, you take a lot more turns naturally in 3v3 than you otherwise would, and I think her hitting harder is more important than her taking more turns, because I feel like speed has slightly more diminishing returns in 3v3 because of how many turns you're naturally going to get, because you know what I mean? Number 2, I have her more bulked out right now, as well as having the offense, and I think I'm going to leave that, because I think the bulk will matter even more once the Kron is gone.
All right.
And number 3, I just don't want to have to move mods all that much, because I'm actually happy with it. So unless something changes to make it so that I need to put a screaming set on her or something like that, I think I'm just, you know what I mean? Like, why fix what ain't broken? So unless something makes me want to change it, I don't think I will.
Fair enough. Yeah, it'd be great if I'd feel better if I had her closer up toward 300 in the set that she's in. She's just about 280 right now, but we'll see. We'll see. Anyways, that's for my meta stuff. Yeah, we covered Sasha here in great detail, and nothing else really stuck out from the week. How about you, Dagger? Any tales from the meta that you want to share?
I just want to say that you said yours is 280. Mine's also 280, and I think I could actually shave some speed off her. So I wouldn't feel too bad about the speed you have on her.
Easy to say while you have the Kron.
Well, I had this before the Kron, and I was reasonably happy with. Anyway,
You were 280 before the Kron?
yes, I never had
Gross.
her fast.
Gross.
I had her damagey and bulky.
Hmm.
But as far as the meta goes,
By
I will
the
echo
way,
what
really
Fatal has
quickly,
said. Sorry.
before we get off of D-Ray, as I look back, I will probably change mine, but Tass, I think it was a difference maker. As I look at how uniquely my Ray was modded in the game, I think I have roughly like almost 4% higher unit armor than the second most in the game on it. And I did that specifically to try and mess with Bane. Granted, it has nothing to do with targeting of JMK, but my unit armor is 75.2, and I guess 71.81 is the second highest in the game. And so 3.4 roughly percent behind. But I don't know that was necessarily the tipping point, but I think it might have helped. Sorry,
I will
Dagger,
be
back to
returning
you.
mine to defense now that the Kron is over.
That's fair. I will say that to what Fatal said a while back. I don't remember when he said it, but there's a lot of people out here setting 2017 defenses, and they don't make you have to try very hard to beat their shit. And getting to use Newt, B1, Django on offense is how do you say it, Tass? Goofs?
Yeah.
You letting me
goofs.
use Newt on offense is goofs? Like, I'm not. My take on the meta is simply I was able to make a plan around the 5 teams that I wanted to make sure I could beat because the rest of the teams that they set overwhelmingly didn't matter. I fought against a Seer twice all season.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, just the teams they were setting were not consequential. So as far as the meta goes, like I don't have a ton to say about the meta outside of I'm in the top 50, top 100. Like you need to be setting better teams, guys. Like I'm not even like trying to be a dick here. Like I need to set better teams too. Like
Well, he's not trying. It comes very naturally to him.
shut the fuck up.
To be honest, I had this thought. I said this on the podcast before, but I kind of came back to this thought, and I feel it like in my fucking bones now. They're not going to set better teams until we make them, which means that we've got to level up, which means that we've got to learn, like, okay, maybe that shit could just die to Amalgus. So, okay, maybe, like, right? I think over the next few months, I think, like, there's just a certain amount of risk-taking that's going to need to happen so that we can become stronger players. And once we get past that threshold, we can use offensive pressure as a way to bolster defensive pressure, because if we can, right, it's the exact same thing that happened with me in ships. For those who don't know, for the longest time, I posted literally the worst teams humanly creatable on defense just because I didn't want to post anything on defense in ships. And I was getting away with it. And it eventually got to the point where people would, like, no reinforce me, or I think some people even started, like, 2-shipping me. And you know what it did? It made me get my fucking act together. And like, all right, fine. I this is not a sustainable model. And like, is it corny and stupid to post 2017 shit? Yes, but the only person who can make them stop it is us. And so it's as far as I'm concerned, it seems like basically an entirely new frontier of the game, especially if you're a heavy defense player, where you're going to have to figure this out with, maybe not the 11 or 15 or 20 strongest teams. Is like, yeah, man, I think we just need to level up. I think we need to become better players, and like that initiative can only come from our side first. And yeah, once we do that, like once we say, if you post some 2017 shit, I will fucking kill you, literally kill you on banners, then that will kind of put a gun to their head and say, like, okay, you need to post some real shit. Like, be more honest with yourself, and then maybe that makes it harder for them to beat our defense again.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm into it. I'd love to be able to set harder and have it matter, because it would have to be really something exceptionally heavy to bottle up somebody like Herbert. So I like the idea. I want to embrace it.
Well, to Fadel's point, it's not that you would have to set something heavy. It's that you would have to average 58 on his board for him not setting as strong a board. right? You would essentially have to, in essence, out efficiency him while also setting a heavy board. And then that would, air quotes, shift him to setting more on defense to prevent you from being able to average 58 on his board.
I think it's literally a yin yang at this point. Like, I don't think that there's a meaningful distinction between. I don't think you could just say, "Oh, I'm just a defense player." Like no. If you want to be a defense player, you also have to be an offense, because if your offense is lazy, your defense will hang you in some way. Or like, you can't post as meaningful of defense as you can if you were good on offense, right? You're gonna have to hold something. You're gonna have to pull some shit that, like, if you're on your shit, if you know the meta super well, then maybe you can post more, and maybe that would cross the line into adding enough friction to throw someone off.
You know, it occurs to me that we've usually combined these because it more or less makes sense to for the week 3 episode. So, you know, when we do the meta analysis, we'll also talk about our favorite attack and defense. Obviously, I think I covered the big hits, but of course, the one that stands out is the cursed fight versus Sasha Aisha. That was it for me. Dagger, we were just with you, and you gave your thoughts on the meta, but any particular fight that stood out to you, offensively, defensively, for the week?
Yeah, Ray just concocking JMK Cat or JMK Ezra, and that Saw team. I don't know. I felt hard carried this season by my air quotes plan. That's what I was saying earlier in this show, that I really feel like my plan was the reason why I did well, because, like Fatal said, I made sure I had answers to my opponent's biggest questions. And then after that, because they most of the time didn't set anything super fancy, I could, mix and match as I chose between like their 2 Galactic Republic teams, their 2 to 3 Resistance teams, their Saw team without the Rolocron, right? A lot of these things were just interchangeable. A lot of the things you would use are just interchangeable. So I never felt caught out. And a couple of people set all their GLs in the back, which just made my life incredibly easy, because I saw all the B teams I had to beat all up front, and I got to just out banner, out efficiency them, because I already had a plan for the shit that was in the back.
Right. TJ, your comments on the meta matchups of the week and your favorite attack and or defense.
There's nothing really to comment, man. I think everybody said it pretty well. Favorite one was finally being able to try the Great Mothers, even though it was a fail. Knowing where it was at, so I'll call that a favorite only because I finally got to push myself to want to try it, and then realize where the error was. So it was cool, man. Because I think what's great is it can still be taken away that next round we'll still have this setup. We'll still be able to do the super mothers with the Wampacron to take out whatever next big monster. I fully believe as long as everything's locked in correctly, you could do it again.
Okay, appreciate you. Sasha Aisha, how about you? Your favorite meta match? Well, I mean, you know, your comments on any meta matchups of the week, and then of course your favorite attack and defense.
Yeah, I think I probably shared what I had to offer on the meta matchups, but for attacks, there are a couple of things that stand out. As I said, I tried to lean heavy into more robust defenses, and I enjoyed that kind of creative space it offered me offensively, and getting to use some stuff that maybe a little old school, but still was nice. And that was like a couple of things I'll share. It was like, I got Gidmate to work against, Arsenal's Freya, Nihilus, Savage for a 54. I got,
Wow.
I got against your Afra BT1 and 000, and listeners in the show probably know this, but TAS has, I think, pretty far and away the best Afra squad in the game. It's just totally decked out. I was able to get a 56 using DTMG, Moff Gideon, and Scout.
Wow.
And
yeah, I'd heard about that.
Yeah. So it's those little, they're a little old, but they're pretty darn cheap and really nice options to have. So like they've been those gave me then the flexibility to otherwise clear the board. So yeah, those were the things. I guess the other thing I'll say, I'm going as much into D because it was a lot of GLs and other stuff. Actually, there's one defense, and I'll say Arsenal was the one that originally set it against me, and I liked it. It was Malgus Star Killer. I did it with Second Sister because I had set Scavenger Ray with my GL Ahsoka and Watt. Not that I had high hopes for that, but at least it gave it a puncher's chance with GL Ahsoka. So I would have rather had Scavenger Ray with Malgus. But the thing that I liked about it wasn't so much Second Sister and like the fact that she can eventually ramp because it takes a while and she's not all that impressive. Malgus's leaps are significant enough that it actually makes Traya as a counter high risk, because Malgus, while he doesn't get his full Sith Empire level and like full Sith bonuses, with a Kron that's already high health and he gets 100% health from Star Killer, he's got a decent shot at leaping out a Savage right out of the gate. And looking at the data, I think he had done that to some Traya counters. So I set that. Like I said, I saw the idea originally with Arsenal, but I set that against you. You were able to navigate it pretty smoothly. I, by the way, against Arsenal took Gungans against it, which is no small investment because Gungans are so versatile and effective while they had the Gungans Kron. But yeah, those were the ones that I'd call out. Cheap offensive stuff, and one I think pretty robust defensive thing.
All right, appreciate that. That's awesome.
Just touch on something you said, Sasha. I find myself able to utilize Gidme quite a bit this season. I think I did it 3 or 4 times to various teams. Mace, Jam
Awesome.
with the defense and offense Kron, Beck, and a couple others. And I don't think I did it to the same team twice. It was just I fought it. I looked at the team. I'm like, you know what? I'll bet you I could do this, and it worked because because GMY is a free agent in 3. So, anyway, it's just I appreciate you mentioning that because I completely blanked on that until you said it. And yeah, that team was just a lot of fun this season.
Sure. Yeah, I think you were the only one to set that against me this season, Sasha. So I had fun with it. But yeah, Sir Malicos, I want to say Cal, what I used for that, and it was all right, and I'm glad we made it through. But yes, thank you for those additions, Sasha. How about you, Fatal? Your meta matchups that stood out this week, and any favorite attack or defense?
I'm pretty much exactly what Dagger said. This week was just a culmination of everything that I've been talking about week 1 and week 2, and this was the week where more or less everything was hammered out, and the moment that the game plan was solidified, I just felt massively favored in most matches. Yeah, no, again, the Bad Batch stuff was cool, Great Mothers. Just incredibly funny to have everyone be super high on JMK Ezra, and that for hosting JMK Ezra to just be a game-losing decision. It just got flipped so heavily on its head, and yet nobody knew that it was coming, seemingly, because I just kept running into it. Yes, please, just give me those 2-for-1s.
And there were a bunch of us that were saying it pretty loudly about you're setting yourself up to fail, because spotting your opponent to drop in this world is really rough.
Very fair. I'm being swarmed right now. See, Mrs. T is working, and yeah, I've got the cat that just jumped up in my lap, and the daughter trying to drag me away, which is just as well. Thank you for good to say there, Fatal. And I think it's a reasonable enough time to pivot away to take away some final thoughts. We can get finished up, and I can see what is being asked of me here. So, first of all, for myself, yeah, I mean, having 4 rounds be against Erodiums really sucked for not having experience. I was grateful for week 3 because I actually had 3 matches. I was able to feel some offensive momentum, an understanding of my offense better, just being able to get successive matches. So that was nice. Aside from that, just playing very, very flexibly. I rotated several meta teams on and off of defense depending on who I was fighting. It was a delightful season for scouting. So I'm hoping that we're in a similar such position when we come back. And yeah, I'd say that's about it for me. Forward to the future. Dagger, how about you? Your takeaways and final thoughts.
Yeah, we'll have to see how the next Kron set looks, but here's hoping that we can run back some variant of this season. Because one of the reasons I historically haven't liked threes is because planning is so all over the place. I don't feel rewarded for my decisions, yada yada yada. And this season felt better than the last couple 5v5s. I really, really enjoyed this season. So I'm hoping that we can run it back next season, and we have a lot of the tools to do so. We're just losing a couple of those box checks, which, again, I'm coming around on where I think that I'm okay with having a box check, maybe two. The problem is when you start to get more than one or two, it starts to get relatively oppressive. So, yeah,
Very limiting, yeah.
I don't want to beat the same drum too much, but talking to Fatal during these things have given me a lot of hope.
Good stuff.
Fucking gave you more hope than I gave myself. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I said this at one point, but I just didn't take it to heart. But yeah, man, metas like this, it's just a matter of research. It's just a matter of fucking roll your sleeves up and figure some shit out.
Yeah, just
I had a horrible time when I didn't figure it out, and the moment that I figured it out, I was like, wow, this is great.
Yeah, I very rarely do I feel dialed into a meta during week one, but a non-zero amount of prep going into week one to create a plan, refining that plan week two, and then further refinement of week three, and I just felt really good all season. It was really weird how that worked.
All right, well, thank you for that, Dagger. On to you, TJ. Your takeaways and final thoughts.
I'm still going to stand by I'm glad the two are going away. I'm glad the Dre's going away. I'm glad the JMK photo's going away. I will look for more variety. So I'm always excited in general when we get to start a new threes because we get to see more variety in the wild, and it's an open door season, right? We'll have 4 new FTCs to come into it. So I'm excited for what we get to start with threes to see where we get to end up.
Very fair. Sasha, Aisha, how about you? Your takeaways and final thoughts. What do you got for the folks?
Yeah, I think one thing I'll say is I'll be curious to see if Pirates, prior to the GL Hondo landing or Maz releasing, have any place at all in fives. I thought that they had some marginal punch up ability as a 15th defense, possibly in threes. And I don't know that they will, and I'm a little disappointed that for all of the resource investment of a bunch of new tunes there, that there's no impact for the next 4 weeks of that game mode for that whole faction. That's kind of my gut. So a little disappointed in that, but I'd say otherwise, I'm really I'm curious to see if in the absence of when we get back to threes, if in the absence of those two really superstar crons, the Hoda and the D-Ray, if we're going to have as many holds, have it feel as sort of defensively vibrant a meta as it felt at the end here. So yeah, I'll be curious to see it. And I guess the last sort of sentiment that I'm kind of feeling as a general thought and going back in to fives is just bummed out to be going back to a board with only 11 teams. I know threes, it's not like you're actually getting set more characters, but with more variety and just more expansive, the ability set 15 teams, 11 is just so small in this current game. And so that bums me out a little bit, but I think there's still a lot of fun ways to play the game, but I just that still irks me.
Sounds good. Apple? Oh, little one's talking to me. All right. Anyway, on to you, Fatal. Your takeaways, your final thoughts, last word for the folks at home.
Yeah, regarding next 3v3, Yeah, I would say I definitely think that we are angling towards a more cheesy meta again, or at least the way that I'll put it is this. Right now, if no additions to the game happen, I think the meta will be worse. I think it will be cheesy, just by virtue of the ingredients are less powerful. Dracron is gone. Datacron is gone, all that stuff. So it will be up to the next Datacron set to inject some spice, as well as, yeah, it's really just eyes on Captain Silvo and Hondo at this point for possible impact that they can add, because they will be in the game, pending, I guess, any weirdness, but they should be in the game, right?
Sure.
But regarding 5v5, I don't know, man. I'll just tell you what happened to me yesterday. After the last round of GAC, someone was like, all right, time to slip back into 5v5 mode. So just as a joke, I just pulled up my 5v5 board just as a refresher. And I basically started laughing because my board from last season just 100% transfers over with 2 small Datacron swaps. That's just yeah, you swap your Heracron for a plus 25% TM Cron. Crazy how that works. I think heavy defense is very well positioned this season of 5v5. I was very happy with my board last 5v5 season, and I don't think that's going to change. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
That sounds good. Hey, you mentioned Silvo and Galactic Legend Hondo. Obviously, guys, you know that we do the character kit reviews as separate videos for these new releases. But somebody in the YouTube comments suggested something that I wanted to bring to you guys. We might as well do it here on the episode. What about when the full team is released, doing a video on the team as a whole? What do we think when we actually have the full kit together? You guys think that has some merit, or is that something you'd rather just cover in the regular show when we actually have some experience under our belt with it? What do you think? Thoughts, feelings, yay, nay? I'll take a yay, nay.
I like it, and I prefer it to the piecemeal because there's so much speculation and uncertainty when we do it very early on. I realize it's possible we may not necessarily know exactly what the comp is, but that's part of the fun speculation of what group or what selection of characters from a new faction are you going to use. So I generally like it.
Okay. Appreciate you. Restius? Yay, nay?
I definitely agree. Doing a 10-minute, I don't know, it's going to be some stuff, and we sit there and wait when we don't have an idea of what it's going to look like, especially if we're a GAC focused. Because again, we don't know what's going to have the TW Omicron, what's going to have the GAC Omicron. It doesn't change anything. So I would much rather prefer on looking at it that way, because modding and everything else we want to talk about, that analysis feels so off of saying maybe Fatal will say, yeah, we do defense. That's nothing new. But maybe he says offense this time. So maybe it's crit damage here. I'm just giving Fatal a hard time for what I know is his world. But I do like the idea if we're going to talk about it, because it talks about the turn order, right? We've done it before where turn order becomes important of where you want to live at, right? And then it's like, oh, I want to hit this base floor of my threshold if I do this, because we'll have that focused Datacron for the team, or we'll have. I much prefer doing something like that where we can have a meaningful conversation.
Okay. All right. Dagger, how about you?
It would help if he was here.
Oh, he had to dip already. I'll get his opinion offline. My guess is he'll probably be down with that. And Fatal, your thoughts there, yay, nay?
I was originally going to possibly suggest it as instead of guessing during each kit reveal, we could just do a faction reveal when they're all done or whatever. But
you held back.
Yeah, I just figured. Well, you said people wanted the kit reveals proper.
They did.
For us to keep doing it, so I was like, okay. Well, I'll just
but you guys are
idea.
pretty unanimous in your feedback. You think it's actually better content if we wait for the whole thing, and I can see the merits there. So I'll follow up with Dagger and let you guys know. But yeah, all right, we'll probably go ahead and do one for the whole pirate team, and then going thereafter for future factions, probably hold off on the standalone character videos and see how it goes. Right.
The only thing I want to add is the 2 cents of the bullshit they did with this back to back. We've said it so many times. The conquest characters, this bass awkward setup of we don't know what the real team is going to be, so maybe we'll need to do it kind of like twofold, because we'll see what Smee's gonna look like with GL Hondo, right? And then we finally get Paz. Fatal Fatal has cut and paste. I'll let you know in 3 months. So it's like I think when we get something like that, maybe that's the only other 2 cents I want to add since we're talking it all through.
Okay, appreciate that. All right, back to you, Fatal. Are you going to be active here during the off week? You going to have any streams? And if so, where can the good people find you?
Twitch.tv/PlaybookTV, YouTube.com/theplaybook. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. The big bugbear I'm trying to wrangle with in between working on this video is trying to get XCOM playable again, because there's some incredible shit that's been building there for years that I kind of want to go back to. The big game thing for me, not regarding Galaxy Heroes, I guess, is going to be 2XKO here in a week. It's going to be it's the Riot fighting game that's 2v2. I mean, there's been 2v2 fighting games before, but they're
I think I've seen you doing that out of the corner of my eye when I had my eye look at your stream after the close of the Grand Arena round. I might have seen a little of that. We'll see what that's about.
It was a playtest, but it should be out for good a week from now, so that'll be cool. Yeah, in the meantime, I don't know. I know Helldiver's got some stuff going on.
It does.
I'm
the gloom
kind of
is
excited
available
about it.
to us now. It's time to hunt Hive Lords, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out. We'll see what happens.
All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for joining me here today, and thank all of you for watching. If you want to catch me live here during the off week, I'll try and do at least one of those, chill streams, coffee and chill, TB, something. We'll figure it out. And when I do that, that will be at twitch.tv/Tassinix, also simulcasting from my YouTube channel, Tassinix Gaming, where if you haven't been there before, you should check it out, because there's a whole bunch of Slugger-related content you might be interested in. We've got stuff like the GAC Omicron tier list, the How-To Mod Guide series. I know you want me to go get you something, but you'll have it in just a minute, sweetness. Yeah, the Mod Guide series, the How-To Mod individual characters and factions, and of course, a rebroadcasting point for this very podcast, Plotting and Scheming. Wherever you find an episode, check the description. There is a link you can use to plug it into your preferred podcasting program, and follow us that way. Anything that you enjoy over there on the YouTube channel, please give it a like, hit subscribe if you want to see more. Really appreciate you guys' support. The channel does keep on growing, almost at a rate of about 100 people a month. So for a game of our size, really appreciate that, guys. It means a lot. Aside from all that, if you want to go above and beyond the Call of Duty to support the channel, there are a few ways to do so. I do have a Cash App, that is $Tassinix. I have a PayPal, that's tassinix@gmail.com. And of course, if you'd like to get some enhanced Grand Arena scouting power for yourself, early access to Plotting and Scheming, and a few other benefits, you may be interested in checking out my Patreon, patreon.com/Tassinix. For any upwardly mobile Grand Arena player, there is something there of interest for you. At $5 a month, you enter the TAS House at VIP access level, where you get early access to the Plotting and Scheming show. That is coming out to our general audience Friday mornings at 8 a.m., but our patrons are getting it as early as Tuesday night, within hours of us recording, giving you that early edge on the first round of the week. In addition, I'll occasionally make exclusives for patrons that you'll have at least a month to yourselves on before it goes public, and of course a dedicated text and voice chat on Discord where you will usually find me lurking, so pop on in and say hi. Thank you so much to Andrew, Banja, Boba Iza, Deadpool Cow 28, JJ's Dad, JJ's Productions Twitch, Jobin4527, Miasmo, Mus Ross, Rays Malbus, Sam Vimes, Sheepdog47, Squed, Stark Strategy Gamer, Sweens14, and White Wolf. Moving on up to the $10 a month tier is VIP Access Plus, where you get a bundled Patreon access to me and to your choice of either OmegaBot or Hot Utils Patreon. OmegaBot's that tool that I use at the start of every one of my Grand Arena streams that gives you those graphs showing your opponent's offensive and defensive tendencies. Anybody can use that tool for free to scout their opponent's last week of Grand Arena history, but only patrons can pull a custom report for any number of weeks. You get a downloadable HTML version of the report with links that you can click going right back into Swugga.gg or Insight, whichever you use, just helping you further minimize your scout time. Alternatively, you might go with the Hot Utils Patreon instead, which is the Chili subscription. That's the AKA for that. And that is your number one tool for mass mod management and loadout creation. I use it to switch easily between my Grand Arena, TB, TW, and Raid mods. TJ and Fatal like to use it to comprehensively remod their rosters. You can do stuff like help out your guild in TW, slice through hundreds of mods in seconds, whole bunch of neat features tucked into there. No wrong way to go at VIP Access Plus. Thank you so much to Aussie Mike, Calidus Invictus, Darth Solea, Esh Sotnikam, Meow for Me, Mr. Tony, Shake23501, Single Malt Jedi, Snack Attack, Striker, Supermart, and Trouble Fingers. At VIP Access Premium, that's $15 a month for the Double Bot bundle. So, Patreon access for me, Omega Bot, and Hot Utils all in one subscription. Going out and buying just the bots themselves costs the same price, which is why so many of my patrons say that this is one of the best values in all of Swugga. Thank you so much to Argots, Arj, Bjorn, Big Ninja, Duckstab, Darth Link, Rick Frack Paddywhack, General Milan, Ivanek, Johnny B. Ottawa, Kev, Mini GK, Hills, Plume, Twig, Rawling, Saldag, Sir Boss, Sophus, The Lost Womprat, Trevor Boy Gaming, Wilco, and Zoltre. And of course, at the top of the list in Jester's Club Elite, the one, the only Nomad's Reaper. This madman drops into my streams from time to time and drops hundreds of subs, thousands of biddies, incredibly generous support over the years. Really appreciate you, man. Special thanks go out first to The Lost Womprat, one of my patrons who helped me set up my stream deck not too long ago, just making it easier for me to do what I love doing here with you guys, so thank you, Womp. To Mrs. T, my wife, thank you for all you do in the background, whether it's bringing me a drink, something to eat, or just keeping our daughter from tearing the place apart while I'm trying to be the very best like no one ever was at a phone game. And of course, to my co-hosts here on Plotting and Scheming, Dagger, TJ, Sasha, Aisha, and Fatal. Gentlemen, as always, it's a pleasure and a privilege to record our show together. Really appreciate you guys making the time despite your busy work and family schedules, because I learn from you guys every week, and hopefully the feeling is occasionally the same. But regardless, it's not about us. It's about the audience that's popped up around our show. A lot of great discussions on Discord, on YouTube, wherever the show is spoken of. And you guys, I have you guys to thank for the success of the show. So thank you for being with it all this time. All right, coming back over to the main scene, you have survived another season of 3 versus 3. I think we all have some fear that this, 5 versus 5 meta might be a bit more of the same in terms of being a bit stale. We'll find out. Big rotations in the future, though, with set 22 expiring at the end of this next 5 versus 5 season. We will see what the future holds, and until next time, it's been real. It's been awesome. It's been real awesome. Take care.